Hey, Slay Babes. Welcome to Ready, Set, Slay podcast. I am your host, Janae Rose, and welcome to episode 49. Guys, I am just over the moon about today's episode. You know, I am like a vibe person, right? So I catch vibes from people. And when I met this guest, I just caught such amazing good vibes. Like, I was just like, I love her right off the bat. So I'm really, really excited for you guys to get to know her for this episode. My guest today is news anchor and journalist, Aziza Shuler. Hi.
First of all, I love you too.
Thank you.
And it's the Gemini Virgo vibe.
Geminis rule the world. I keep trying to tell people that.
I always attract Geminis into my
Girl,
life, so.
you need a Gemini in your life. Like, you have to have a Gemini because we rule the world and we are the best. So, you know,
that's
it's
right.
just that. So, Aziza, I know who you are. I've seen you on TV a million times, but tell my listeners and my viewers a little bit about yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Aziza Shuler. I am a news anchor and reporter for CBS News Philadelphia, here in the city of Philadelphia and surrounding areas. I'm from D.C., but I spent the last 9 years or so on the West Coast. I've lived in Los Angeles. I've lived in Arizona.
Yes.
Now I'm here in Philly, living my dream.
Yes.
My dream job, at least.
Yes,
and still,
yes.
Navigating becoming a woman.
Okay, I love that. How's Philly treating you? Because, Philly can be,
As far as the people, I love the people. I know that sounds so cliche, but no, I really love the people. This is the first place I've worked where I really feel like my job is important.
Okay, I love that.
Because out on the street, people they don't just recognize you, but they treat you like they know you.
Yes.
And they tell you that they watch and they know little things about you. They're never afraid to come up and talk to me. And I say it all the time, as a reporter, the biggest thing is getting people to talk to you.
Right.
In Philly, I never have a problem getting anyone to talk to me.
No, we gonna talk.
Yeah, they're gonna talk to you. They're gonna come up to you and tell you, okay, what are you working on? I love you, by the way, but let me what's the deal? So they're just really authentic people.
Yes. Because if they don't like you, they're gonna be like,
right,
bye.
They will. But they when they like you or they love you, they really embrace you.
Yes.
And that's across the board. If it's the news crews or your sports teams, your restaurants, whatever it is, Philly folks are loyal.
We really are. I mean, even Philadelphia fans, for sports.
I've never been, and I lived in LA where you have Lakers fans.
Okay.
But no, there's no fan central like Philadelphia. The Eagles fans and the Phillies fans, that was next level. I've never experienced anything like that. And I think now that I live in Philadelphia, everywhere I go when I travel, I see Eagles fans.
Oh, yeah.
And I never paid attention to that. But now I'm like, wait, these people are crazy. They're everywhere. And they show it.
Away games, you will literally think you're in Philadelphia because there's so many Eagles fans everywhere. It's amazing. I feel like it's a gift and a curse because sometimes we get a little out of control, but I think also it's that passion, right?
Yes.
People from Philly have so much passion. We're anything but boring, and it's just
and so much pride for your city. Yes. The pride is crazy because I grew up in DC where, of course, people love being from DC.
Yeah.
However, when it came to things like sports, everyone, they fans of all these different teams.
Yeah.
They're Cowboy fans. When I was growing up, there weren't that many Redskins fans or Wizards fans.
Yeah.
So that wasn't a sense of city pride. I think what brought the city together was go-go music, something like that, or our food.
Yeah.
That's when you really took pride in DC.
Yep.
But
shout out to my bestie Jess, because she's from the DC area, is a Dallas Cowgirl fan.
See?
And loves her go-go. But I'd be like, girl, have you ever been to Dallas? How did this happen? She's like, I like Dallas, da-da-da. I'm like, okay.
I'm a bandwagon Warriors fan still.
Okay.
I haven't hopped off the bandwagon.
At least you admit it, right?
Yeah.
So I love that.
I have no loyalty to DC in that way, but I love being from DC. I'm from Northeast.
Okay.
I grew up there. All of my friends are from there, and I'm really from DC. Okay. So you know how people say DMV?
Right. You from DC?
I'm from the actual DC.
Okay. So you call people Bamas and stuff like that, or
used to?
Okay.
I used to.
Okay.
I've lost the lingo and everything because I've been away for so long. But I'm sure when I was that 18-year-old Aziza who just moved to California, I was definitely speaking that way.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. So talk to me about the 18-year-old Aziza. Did you always want to be in journalism? How you always wanted to be in journalism?
I did.
Okay.
Because, long story, let's try to make it as concise as possible.
Okay.
But I grew up in the foster care. Well, I didn't grow up in the foster care system, but as a child, I was in the foster care system.
Wow.
My parents were unfortunately addicted to drugs at that time.
Okay.
Which, as a result, separated our family.
Okay.
And I didn't get to see my parents as much as I would like to.
Right.
And eventually, I was adopted by my grandmother and my aunt.
Okay.
And when I would have visitation with my parents, like they would come to the church or see us out in public somewhere, my father would like take me into his arms and say, baby girl, you're going to be a news reporter. You're going to be a journalist, a writer, something, and tell the stories of people like us, people who come from unfortunate circumstances and things like that. And that always stuck with me because I was like, my dad told me I'm going to be a news reporter.
He was like, and that's it.
And this is like when I was like a child, like a toddler, maybe 3, 4, 5 years old, on into like my teenage years and whatnot. And that made me grow an affinity for news and radio. So I would always pay attention to it.
Yeah.
Even though like most of my peers probably didn't know what I wanted to do or what I wanted to be because I was very shy and reserved. But I always knew. And I would just like pay attention to the news. Okay. And I knew it was possible because growing up in D.C., all of the news anchors and radio personalities are Black. Yes. So I was just like,
you were like, I see myself.
Yeah.
I love that. You know what's so funny? My grandma, rest her soul, she had no cable, of course, lived in West Philly.
I didn't have cable either.
Girl. So that's all we did. Like, I can tell you, like, the news anchors and like what time the news came on. Like for so long, it was the news would start at 5. But then once I started getting older, it started at 4. And that's all she would watch was the darn news. Yeah. Okay. And it was only one TV. So I always, not that I wanted to be a news reporter, but I just always loved them. Right. And I was like no shade, but I was a Channel 6 watcher. That was my grandma. She just watched Channel 6.
I've learned that. Yeah.
Girl. So when Jim Gardner, when he retired, I was like in tears. I was like, no, not Jim. Like, because I watched him so, Rick Williams, like Monica Melpass, like you almost knew them because
that's what I would say, like, is very different about Philadelphia. Coming here, especially coming from Los Angeles, where, there's so many things people can pay attention to. You have Hollywood there.
Yes.
So coming to Philly, like, people know my first and last name, and they say they watch the news. Yes. Like, that's something special about this city that I love because you all care about knowing what's going on in the city.
Yep. And that's how I got to like know who you were because I also knew Yuki from watching him. So I'm like, Yuki. Oh, who is that little chocolate piece next to him?
I love Yuki.
Yes. And he has so much personality. And I feel like for people who are aspiring to be, a news anchor, I feel like you can be yourself. Because I feel like his personality, like your personality from watching you guys on the news. So I just feel like that's what we love, and like I said, I was a Channel 6 watcher. I got over to Channel 3. I switched back and forth, but a lot of people are like, I don't watch the news because it's negativity. And I'm like, I'm not really watching for the actual news. Right. I'm looking for that personality from the news anchors. Yeah. So.
And I think that's also a misconception that the news is always bad. Like, yes, there is bad news and there is crime that people actually want to know about. All like that's one of the main things that people view on our website are the stories about crime, surprisingly. Yep. But there are so many other things on the news. Like we shed light on people's businesses. We tell real stories about people in our community who are doing great things as well. So when people say that, I think that's just them trying to like talk bad about the news. Yeah. However, when there are members in your community who want to showcase things that are good that are going on, who do they call? They call us. Yep, and they're like, I want to tell you about my cousin down the street who's running this program or someone's new clothing line or new business or restaurant or whatnot. So we cover a lot.
Yes, y'all do. But I think then you know how things go. You can say 3 great things and you'll say 1 negative thing and everyone will remember the negative thing and they'll share that tea. Let me tell you the tea. So that's just how that goes. But like I said, that's all. I grew up watching it, so it just is not considered negative for me. I just feel like it's the news and I like the anchor. It's like I gotta see what joke Yuki's gonna tell or
Oh my God, that's so cute.
I'm telling you, that's what we're paying attention to. So Is there a difference between world news and like local news? Like, is that something that you aspire to be? Like, is it different levels to the news? Because
Yes.
like, I was like, I gotta ask Aziza this because I don't know.
I know. It's so interesting to me that people are so fascinated, and our industry has this mystique around it that I didn't realize people don't know that much about how things work behind the scenes. They just know what they see on TV.
Exactly.
So yes, there is a difference. National news, which you're talking about world news. So there's national and there's local.
Okay.
National network and local.
Okay.
So local news is what I do at CBS Philadelphia, where we just cover our local communities or region, because we cover Philadelphia, Delaware, and South Jersey.
Right.
And then within local news, there are markets, what we call,
Okay.
and there are markets from 1 to about 200. 200 is the smallest city or town in America. They need their news too.
Yeah,
and we usually start off in those markets.
Okay.
So I started off in Yuma, Arizona, which was like market 168 or something like that.
Oh my goodness.
I know. So I started off there, and then my next market was Los Angeles, which is market 2. New York is number 1, LA is number 2, Chicago is number 3, and Philly is number 4. And that's just by the population of viewership in that certain region. In that coverage zone. So Philly is number 4. It's the top 5 market in the country.
Wow.
Then you have, from local, then you have network, which when you think of CNN, CBS Network, where you see the evening news, or MSNBC, Fox News, that's network news.
Okay.
And then you have national news, which is like the CBS Evening News or ABC
World News.
The World News, the Today Show.
Okay.
That's national news, like news
Okay.
that broadcast across the country.
Got it.
And that's the top tier. That's the highest level I would say you can get in news.
Okay. So is that something that you aspire to do, or you like the local news? Okay.
No, I love local news.
Okay.
But I do aspire to be a national news anchor one day.
I love that. You're going to get there, honey.
Thank you.
Yes, we're speaking that into existence just like your dad did, where he was like, you're going to be a news anchor.
Right.
I love that. You know, I was just talking to my husband about like speaking over, like positivity over yourself, right? And speaking things into fruition. My last guest was talking about how like she manifested this brand that she has a SPF line, or sunscreen. Black people do need sunscreen. I hope you're wearing yours, Aziza.
I do got mine on.
Okay, good. Hallelujah. But yeah, like manifesting is really real, you know, and that's why I try not to say anything negative about myself, or like sometimes something goes wrong, and I just try to just keep it pushed into something positive, because, you know, words have power.
Right,
So
I agree.
I love that from a little girl that you just
like you said, words have power, and what you're speaking to people or about people is kind of creating their understanding and their perspective of who they are just by taking in what you're saying.
Yes.
So by my father saying that about me, I always knew I could be a news anchor or a news reporter, or he would tell me, be a strong, beautiful, Black, independent woman. And he would tell me that every time. So I had no choice but to believe, I'm going to be a strong, beautiful, independent Black woman.
You're like, it's happening.
Yeah.
I love that. I really do. Okay, so recently you talked to the world about your journey with alopecia.
I did.
First of all, how amazing is it for you to just be like, this is who I am, this is, you know, a part of me, and I'm okay. It is what it is. Like, I felt like that was just so liberating and so inspiring, you know. So talk to me about what that decision to like talk to the world about it. Because I feel like everybody wants to know everybody's business. And I'm just like, can people just have something to themselves, you know? So I love that like you came out to talk about it. But tell me about that decision and how things are going.
Yeah. Well, that's so interesting. You say everybody wanted to tell, like, everyone know your business.
Yes.
I was one of those people who I was not telling my business.
Yeah,
I
I'm
was
the
so
same
used
way.
to hiding everything about me. And first it was like dealing with my childhood trauma of growing up in foster care and dealing with, you know, family dysfunction or whatnot. And then I think the last thing was dealing with alopecia. And it's something that I was hiding since I was about 12 years old.
Wow.
And it just became a burden. Like at one point it was like, okay, I'm going to wear wigs for the rest of my life. Who cares? Women wear wigs, no, you know.
Right. It's trendy.
Yeah. I didn't think it would bother me that, well, it did bother me and I was very insecure about it.
Okay.
But I didn't think that I thought that like, okay, if my wigs look nice and I feel confident in my wigs, then I have no reason to reveal this about myself. I have no reason to face the person in the mirror and like come to terms with the fact that I have alopecia.
Yeah.
And that was something I hadn't done at that point. I hadn't come to terms with the fact that I had alopecia. Even telling someone, like I wouldn't want to tell a friend. I didn't go around my family with my bald head. Like that was just a major insecurity. I probably wouldn't even say out loud, like, I'm bald. That was scary. That would freak me out.
Wow.
So I think that's the difference of when, like, there's one thing to wear a wig, but there's another thing to be confined by the wig and let that define you.
Absolutely.
Which I think it's okay for women to wear wigs, even if you are bald. Like, you can wear a wig.
We can do anything now.
Yeah, but it's about, like, do you accept yourself without all of that?
Correct.
And I didn't see myself getting to that point of accepting myself.
Okay.
But until it happened, like I just was like, okay, I can't help it anymore. I'm tired of hiding and I'm ready to accept all of who I am.
Yeah.
Part of that came from my boyfriend.
Yes.
He was
I'm a fan.
Yeah. He was just like, girl, why are you hiding this? Yeah. And when are you going to open up to me at least and show me that, you're comfortable that way? He wanted me to be comfortable because he already knew.
Yeah.
I told him up front when we first met that I had alopecia.
Okay.
At that time, we were living long distance and we would FaceTime a lot.
I was going to say, did you have the wig on while you were FaceTiming?
Yes, girl. Yes, girl. So
listen,
I normally, before I met him, I normally would take my wig off at night.
Yeah.
And, wash my scalp. It was a lace wig too, so I would glue it down and everything. A mess.
Yes.
Ew, I don't miss that. But
it's so much maintenance that we have to do with our hair as Black women, first of all.
Okay, lace wigs are beautiful, and I had one of the best. I had a woman in DC who would make them for me custom.
Yes.
It cost like $3,000, but they made me feel so confident, and it felt like there wasn't it wasn't detectable.
I saw your wigs, and that's why I was like, is it the same person?
It was like a pixie cut.
Like,
I was obsessed with them, but at the same time, lace wigs are not made to be worn religiously, like as if they're your hair. Okay. And that's what I was doing. I was wearing them every single day, wearing one.
Yeah.
I only had one.
It was beautiful. I
would wear it every single day, and I would glue it down every single day. So that was affecting my skin, on my scalp. There were so many other reasons why I wanted to stop wearing wigs other than my confidence, but just like having to deal with that and maintain it and put it on and take it off every day, that was a lot.
Yeah.
So when I was on FaceTime with my boyfriend every night, I would still have my wig on, put on the head scarf, and it just was like, he never made me feel uncomfortable about it. It was myself. Yeah, I was putting that perception out, like, okay, or projecting. I was projecting my own personal feelings on him, making myself believe, like, I don't know what he's gonna say, even though I knew he would accept me because I told him up front.
Yeah.
And at that point, I didn't have any eyebrows or eyelashes. It just because alopecia flare-ups are random. So there are times where you'll have some people will have all of their hair and then it will fall all out randomly. So at that time, I didn't have any eyebrows or eyelashes. So I was like, well, I'm definitely taking off my makeup around him. And so when you see me with no makeup, don't be alarmed if I don't have eyebrows or eyelashes.
Right.
But I didn't feel comfortable enough to take off the wig.
Okay.
And that went on for about, I would say like a year and a half almost.
Wow.
No, a little less than that. It was way less. It probably was like a year, I would say.
Okay.
And eventually he was like, okay, are you going to take your wig off? When are you going to take it off? And I didn't fight him on it. I was like, I've been waiting for you to ask.
Oh, I love it.
And I took it off and he was just like, okay, now let's go on about. But after that, I wasn't ready to go into the world that way. I just thought I was showing him. But once he saw me and he was like, you look great. Like, I don't know why you're wearing that wig anyway. So he expected me to just go back into my normal life without the wig. Which was jarring for me and uncomfortable. I literally felt butt naked. The first day I went outside without a wig, I felt naked because I never felt my scalp outside that way.
Yeah.
I also didn't know what I looked like.
Okay.
It was just like this weird thing with my identity. Like, even still sometimes I'll see a picture of myself and I'm like, wait, who is that? Like, it just felt so different. I
Really?
thought everybody was staring at me, but people were staring at me for good reasons. Like they stopped and was
Yeah.
like, you look beautiful. And they didn't know that that was my
Yes.
first time outside without a
Really?
wig. They just thought, oh, that's the way she rocked
They
her
were like,
hair.
she is beautiful.
Yeah, so that was very uplifting and encouraging.
Yeah.
And then over time, I would just do it like off air when I wasn't on TV yet. I would
Okay.
just like, not wear my wig and then come to Philly, go to work, put the wig on. And then after having that 2 separate lives,
Yeah.
I was like, okay,
This is
I like
exhausting.
I was like, I like the life without the wig. It's like much more low maintenance. I can just get up and go. I feel cleaner. I feel refreshed. And wearing the wig became a burden. Like I was like,
it's like a job.
yeah, it became like a job, and it made me not like my job because I didn't want to go to work because I didn't feel like putting that wig on.
Not that, I'm not trying to take anything away from having alopecia, but just in general, like getting your hair done is such a job. Like it's too much sometimes. Like, so
I've never really been to the hair salon.
Really?
Because I was so ashamed. Like I was afraid to sit in
Well,
the shop
good.
amongst women because just having that since a child, I always just thought people would judge me a certain way because of it.
Gotcha.
And I was never told like, oh, you'll be fine if you were bald.
Yeah.
I just thought that I had to wear
You
a
had
wig.
to wear hair.
Yeah, so I never was like the salon experience type of girl.
Girl, well, it's an experience, okay? I don't know. I think that some people do it right and some people need some assistance.
Like I can't even imagine sitting in the shop for like an hour, 2 hours, however.
I said this like a couple episodes ago. Like I've walked out of shops before because people don't book themselves appropriately, and you're sitting there for hours and hours. And as a business owner, I can't afford to be spending too much time away from my business.
Yeah.
So I've walked out of places before. I am licensed myself, so I can do a little something, something. So I've had to do a little something, something when I wanted, it done another way. But it's a lot. It's just a lot. So
I was so like not into the salon experience so much that I used to make my wigs. Like I was really good at doing hair actually. I don't have a cosmetology license or anything, but growing up in DC, everybody knew how to do everything. And I was the girl who like in high school, I would make my wigs and they would look so good that everyone would ask me to do their hair.
Yes.
And I would do sew-ins. Like in college, I would do all the black girls at UCLA, I would do their sew-ins.
Yes. I was the makeup artist on my campus.
So I think at first for me, I took something that was traumatic and unfortunate and I made it my power by like learning how to do hair.
Absolutely.
And I would do other people's hair. But then after a while, it got exhausting. Like, I don't feel like making a wig. At some point, I thought that it was enjoyable for me up until it wasn't enjoyable and it became more so an inconvenience.
Yeah.
And it would be times where I'm like, okay, I'm at the wit's end with this lace wig. The hair is bald, basically. I got to figure out what to do and how to make it work on a budget.
You were like, it's too much.
It was too much.
Yes,
Yeah.
I love it. So how do you feel now?
I feel free. I feel liberated. I feel beautiful. I just feel like very sleek and clean and just airy. I everything about it, I love it. Low maintenance. Yes. I feel like myself. I don't have to hide anything. And it has transitioned into other areas as well. Like I don't feel like I have to wear makeup anymore because I think, I don't know, all the just the mindset of hiding made me feel insecure in other ways. Like, okay, I always have to look perfect. I always have to look a certain way for me to feel as if I'm presentable or undetectable. I don't want people to detect that something's off, you know? So that consumed me. Now I feel like, okay, well, I'm just myself. Like you're gonna accept me how I am because I accept myself.
Yep.
Yeah. So I completely feel lighter.
I love that. Yeah, and I think, I suffer from eczema, and I think that when you, girl, I think too, like, a lot of times if I do have patches, to your point, I won't wear makeup. Like, I'm just looking like a whole grease ball. And before I used to be a little bit more like self-conscious about it, but now I'm like, this is me. This is what my skin needs right now. Yes, I look a little shiny take a picture because I'm coming in looking like this. You know, I'm not wearing makeup. Like, I'm just doing what my skin needs. I just think, to your point, like, I just feel so very just unapologetically me, and whatever I need at the time. To your point, if I don't feel like wearing makeup, you know, if it's a put my hair in a ponytail type of day, that's just what I'm gonna do, because I feel like it's just it's a power in just being able to just be you and being okay with that.
And that helps so many other people. It resonates with people, and it frees other people as well to let go of that. Just what would you call it? Like the idea, let go of the idea, of perfection, or that you have to hide your flaws. And I noticed that telling my story about alopecia, but also with you talking about eczema. Like, I grew up, I had eczema really bad as a child on my arms and like behind my legs and certain places on my body. And I would literally wear long sleeves in the summertime. I was on the cheerleading team, and all the girls would wear the little vest, and I would wear a long sleeve shirt underneath. And I would just hide it because I didn't see other kids with eczema. So I thought, okay, I'm ugly, I'm different. Anything that makes me different makes me ugly. And now we know skin conditions, just all of these things that are different about us are normalized now. And it's not like if I have a flare up on my arm, I'm not ashamed about it. Or I still have eczema scars, and I'm like, I will wear my skin out, and I take pride in my skin because, you know, your differences make you beautiful. And it also shows people that they're beautiful as well. You don't have to hide these things.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just a part of you. It's not fully you, you know? Like, I got 2 years ago during wedding season, I had the nerve to get what the heck is it called? It'll come to me. But they gave me cortisone shots. And they told me, just so you know, women or people with deep skin, oftentimes you lose their pigment in the area of the cortisone shot. I was like, listen, I'm in pain. Just give it to me. Sure enough, I experienced hypopigmentation. Literally, this white patch was on my wrist. And people were like, oh my, I was getting married. I got married in September, and people were like, before it kind of cleared, they were like, are you going to cover it for your wedding? I said, no. This is me. Like, you know, at the end of the day, this happened to me, and I'm going to get married with it. It's still going to be a part of me. I'll be okay. And by the grace of God, it cleared up before my wedding. But I was going to be just right there with my little patch.
Probably because you weren't stressed about it. No. Like, if you would have been stressed about it, it would have still been lingering. Your body would have taken long to recover.
Yes. I'm like, no, I'm walking down that aisle. He getting this patch, me and the patch. Okay. Call me Patch. But yeah, like, I think it's just something, you know, that just feels just so good to just be unapologetically yourself, right? Like, I don't want to be anyone else. It's just me. I have this a part of me. You know, even when I gain weight, I'm like, you know, I'm going to work towards losing it. But until then, I'm going to be chubby me. Like, you know, it just is what it is. I think people are so hard on themselves, and they get so down on themselves. And it's like, even if you're skinny, if you're chubby, if you have a patch, if you have hair, no hair, you're still, it's like, who are you on the inside?
It's a journey, though, because I thought, okay, once I stop wearing wigs and I accept the alopecia, I'll have no more insecurities. I just thought that's the way my brain worked. I was like, this is my last insecurity. I have nothing else to be insecure about or self-conscious about. But it's just a part of life's journey, and just the journey to self-discovery, I would say, because it takes time. And there are different areas in your life where you will deal with those insecurities or the quote unquote perceived flaws, but it's about not being consumed with them. And I'm still dealing with that with other perceived flaws about myself. So it's like, I think after seeing my story, a lot of people felt like, oh my gosh, like, you're free. Like, you are, you know, you must like have this 100% confidence. And I think confidence is like a bar that keeps changing, or like it just ebbs and flows. Like, some days I feel very confident about myself, but then some days I am self-critical. And that's just being transparent. I think a lot of times, because of social media, we perceive people as perfect, or we think that they don't have problems or mental health issues or things about themselves that they don't like or that they struggle with. But that's just part of life, and we may always have those things until we achieve 100% of self-assurance and knowing exactly who we are.
Yeah, and would you agree that that's just a part of the journey? Because I know, like, for me, the stuff that I've been through in my life, like, I look back at, like, just me dating.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, like, I can't believe I dated that person, or I can't believe I went through that. But I don't think I would be the woman that I am today and how the wife that I am if I didn't go through those things. So I think, you know, a lot of my students, they're like early 20s. Now I have like 19-year-olds. And, you know, we just recently put on Aaliyah Rock the Boat came on.
Okay.
And do you know that my students did not know who Aaliyah was?
I mean, they're pretty young.
Didn't know Rock the Boat.
They're young. I remember Rock the Boat because
I was so angry.
That song dropped. My birthday is September 1st, and that song dropped in like August.
Okay.
Before my birthday.
That is like still one of my favorite
I don't know why.
songs.
It's a very distinct. And I remember she was doing like, they used to have that show where they used to show you the behind the scenes of making a video.
Yes.
And I used to love that show. Yes. And I remember her on the boat with the white tank top and the jeans.
And they did the little dance. Yes.
I was
like, y'all don't know. They don't know Aaliyah. Some of them never seen the show Martin.
Of course not. It's a whole different...
Girl, please.
It's a whole different generation.
I shaded them. And some of the other students were like, what? Like, so it was the whole thing. And one of the students was like, I'm sorry, I'm not 30. And they were like, oh no, shade. And I was like, girl, you only wish you was 30, because when I was in my 20s, I was a train wreck. Like, like I was so worried about this and so worried about that. And now I'm my 30s, I'm like, okay, oh well, it's not getting done, or it's not happening. Oh well, like
I look at people in their 20s like they're so young. Like I'm 30 now, but when I look at people that are in their 20s, like early 20s to about 20 to 25, 26, I look at them like they're so young. I'm like, oh my gosh, because I was just a different person when I was that age. And like, although I wasn't super wild or didn't make crazy mistakes, but I thought I was a woman. And now when I look back, I'm like, girl, you were still a girl. You were not a woman yet.
Girl.
And I was still learning how to be a woman. But the thing is, because I was so independent, so young, I thought that independence just made you a woman. But there's so much more that goes into your femininity and you discovering really who you are, what you value, things that are important, what like, you know, your morals and things like that. And it changes over time. So, and it might change like even more. Although I'm 30 now, by the time I'm 35, all of that may change. So yeah, it's a constant journey.
Yeah, when I was in my 20s, I thought that I had it all figured out, and come to find out, I didn't know nothing.
I didn't know anything.
Like, I didn't know what was going on at all. I was like, everything was the end of the world, and it really, when you look back at it, it was actually nothing.
No, nothing at all.
It was nothing. Like, I was a whole baby. Like, thought I was grown and wasn't. Like, So now I feel like I'm just actually know what it feels like to be grown. Like, no one can tell me not to do things. Like, it's just different. But
do you feel like you are the person your childhood self wanted to be?
I think so. The only thing that I go back and forth about is that I feel like I should be farther along. So that's just like the entrepreneur in me. That's just the busybody in me, you know.
But is that what are you comparing yourself to?
I just feel like at this big age of mine, I have a birthday coming up.
She's a Gemini.
I just feel like I should be making money while I'm sleeping. I should be working a little less. Like, I shouldn't be working as hard as I do at this point. But I do know, like, things have changed, right? Things are so expensive, and it's harder to get an opportunity, and everyone's so good at so many different things that you're competing with other things. So I give myself some grace, but at the same time, I'm not taking my foot off the gas until I get where I want to be. So I don't get down on myself. I just know I have to work harder until I get to where I want to be. So it's not something where I'm like, oh, girl, you suck. It's just like, I just, thought I would be a little bit farther along. But I also didn't know I would be married. I wasn't.
Right. I was going to say that. Take inventory of the blessings that you do have and your things that you have that other people your age may not have. And that's beautiful. Like, you're married. You have your own business. You're an entrepreneur. You have a podcast that you so flawlessly prepare for, which is very impressive to me. I'm like, goodness, she's so organized. She's more organized than I am.
I get that a lot. And I'm like, thank you, because this is my baby, So I do, to your point, I am so grateful for the things that I am doing. but you know how you have like more to give?
Yeah.
I'm just like, I got more for
But
y'all.
that's with time. That's with time.
Yes. And
like,
that's
things
actually
take
my
time.
problem. I want everything now.
Yeah.
Not now, but
I
right
do
now.
too, but I have a
Yeah.
lot of people around me, like my father and my boyfriend, who always tell me, like, great things
down.
aren't made overnight.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
you have to put the work in, you have to put the time. Some things just need time.
Yes.
Like, I used to be very critical of myself on air, and I would ask my boyfriend and my father, like, what can I do better? What can I do better? And they're like, you're fine. You just need more time. Like,
Yeah.
literally, you just
Yeah.
need to do it every day. Like, practice. Just do it every single day.
Gotcha.
And that's where it's those, like, little details that you can't really put your finger on. You don't really know how to point it out, but
Yeah.
you can tell when someone's seasoned at what they do.
Yes.
And that's with life as well. Like, sometimes you just need to wait until you reach that point, because you can't reach it no faster than what you're going.
Yeah. And I definitely agree with that. I think it's all about the journey, right?
Right.
It's not a race, right? It's a marathon.
It's a marathon.
Yes. So
And you will never remember, you remember, like, the milestones you make, but it's about, like, taking it in.
yeah, and enjoying it.
Enjoy the journey, enjoying the time in between, because you'll
Yes.
never get that again. So if it just happened,
Right.
you would never know what it felt like to really, like,
Yes.
want it.
And that's what I'm actually doing now that I'm married. It's just taking more time to just be in the moment. Like, a lot of times, like, my best moments never even make it to social media. I might not even snap a picture. People are like,
Right.
oh, I can't believe you did this. You met this person. Do you have any pictures? I'm like, no. I
Same.
took time in the moment. If they are an entrepreneur, if they're a business person, I ask them 11 questions.
Is there someone you regret not taking a picture with?
No, I don't think so, because I feel like I don't need validation. Like, if you don't believe me that I met the person, okay.
But you might want to look back. I love looking back to
but I feel like
my photo album.
my brain never fails me, so I'll be like, Like,
I met Kobe Bryant once.
Oh,
And
see,
I
someone
was so
who's
scared to take a
deceased-
picture with him, because I was just like, I was working as
Yeah.
an assistant.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to seem like out of place, but I really wish I would have taken a picture.
Yeah.
I
See,
still, but
someone
I'm
who's
still the same way.
deceased.
Like, I don't like taking too many pictures and stuff.
I like to just kind of like pick their brain. I was on set with Mark Lamont Hill like
Yes.
within the last year or so, and I just think that he's just so intelligent, like such a good. He has a good balance of like personality, but he's intelligent,
Super smart, yeah.
Yes. So like, I just soaked it in. Like, he was talking about so many different things. He's from Philly,
Yeah.
So I soaked all that in. I didn't take not one picture. I was there all day long with him. Didn't take not one picture. Didn't care. I
Right.
was like,
I'm the same way.
Yes.
But my mother, she's like in her late 50s.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't care about social media. This woman just takes pictures.
takes
like
pictures.
since back in the day, like my parents have so many Polaroid pictures of themselves. Like, they just take pictures of moments in time.
Yeah.
Of course, like back then it wasn't to post anywhere.
Right.
They just like documenting it.
yeah.
And I'm not that way, but they love it. And I see
Yeah.
the importance of it, because it tells a story over
It
time.
does. It
Especially if,
does.
for me, I'm not good at memories. Like,
No?
I forget things very easily, and then
Okay.
it'll come to me later.
Okay.
But just having those photos tell a story, and it brings you back to
Yeah.
that point.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with that. I just think that for me, the way my mind works, I always say I have like 60 pages open in here. Like, I have
need
all
to be
these
like that.
tabs, girl. I got 60 tabs on. Now that I'm doing this podcast, it's 61, So for me, I much rather take the experience and see what I can get out of
Yeah.
it, right? And then afterwards, I'll be like, oh, I should have got a picture.
Right.
Even that, when I'm speaking of Mark Lot Hill, people were taking pictures with him at the end. At the end of the shoot, like, people were taking pictures with him. And I could have got right in, like, took a picture. Girl. Didn't care. I had learned so much about him and his journey, and had just like gotten ideas from him, and that was enough for me. But who knows? That might change, especially we're in this era of like so much posting. I get a lot of feedback from my marketing team about like, you need to post more, you need to do this more, you need to blah, blah, blah. So who knows? That might change. But right now I'm just like usually in the moment.
Yeah.
I love it.
That's good.
But speaking on air, I have a question for you.
Yes.
So I had a fire on my street, which caused a lot of like media to come. And I realized that there is a such thing as an anchor voice. Do you have an anchor voice? And why is it a thing?
Okay, so I don't, honestly, truly, I don't think it's a thing.
Okay.
I think it's like an element of the facade and mystique of news.
Okay.
and it's an outdated element because, yes, anchors and reporters maybe up until about 10 years ago did have this quote unquote anchor voice.
Yeah. What is it even about? What is that?
Well, okay. So I think it's like, one, it's older people. And then it's like when you're new and you're younger coming into the industry and you're copying off of people that you hear.
Okay.
So you haven't, once you really develop your voice, you know, you want to be very conversational. You want to speak like you're speaking to a friend or a family member and be relatable, but still you're being professional because you're articulating yourself and you're speaking to a wide audience. So you want to be able to be understood.
Yeah.
The way I think of it is like someone can be getting their news from me and only me for the first time and for the last time, and this will be the information to help them digest the subject or form their own opinion and view on whatever that news is.
Okay.
So yes, I want to be relatable, so because I want them to be interested, for one. And two, I want to articulate myself because I want to be clear.
Yes.
And also I suffered with the insecurity of being from DC, and I'm like, oh, maybe I talk a little ghetto. I don't know how to pronounce this, or I may speak differently because I'm from a different, this is not where I'm from, so I may say something different than the way they're used to it being said, especially when I lived on the West Coast. Like, that was a whole different thing. But, so I think it's like when you're younger, you're trying to, no one in journalism school tells you to speak a certain way.
Okay.
That's unheard of, in my opinion.
Okay.
No one ever told me to say, good morning, it's Aziza Shuler. No one ever, there's no class that would say, speak that way. There's no vocal coach, in college at least. I'm sure you can go to a vocal coach who will tell you that.
Right.
But no, that's not how you're trained.
Okay.
It's just when you're young, you're copying off of people you admire or who you deem as the archetype of what a news anchor should be.
Okay.
In my opinion, it's changing because almost everyone I watch on television doesn't speak that way.
Right,
I mean, besides like the evening news, but if you watch CNN or you watch ESPN,
like Michael Strahan, he talks exactly how he talks, like when he was interviewing as a football player.
Exactly.
So that's why I'm like, what is this anchor voice?
I think it's also become a trendy joke on social media, on TikTok, you know, all the people that copy off of it and perpetuate the narrative. But no, I would say when I was young, like in my first market, my first year on the job, I probably did sound more robotic only because I was I didn't have that much experience. For one, I was probably still nervous. And three, you're still getting used to reading a prompter or being on camera and talking about something that you're not an expert in, which most reporters, especially if you're not like a sports reporter or a beat reporter specifically only covering one subject, usually every day is something different. So you're not an expert on it. So you're trying to remember information and be professional and be on camera physically. So it takes some time to actually adjust and be comfortable and confident in it. So that's one area where you might sound anchor voice or robotic. Or if you're really older and you're used to just that format. But nowadays, no, I don't think so. And there's some people who may deepen their voice for television or, you know, change their voice in a certain way. And there is a cadence only because you're reading or you're reciting something that you wrote. So if you wrote your intro, you're going to recite it a certain way because you're reciting it versus if you're just having a conversation like right now,
totally different.
It's a different cadence in the way you speak.
Okay. All right. I'm trying to think, do I like the idea of the anchor voice? Because I do think some of them are funny.
I don't like it, but we accept it because it's attached to a specific period in time, and it's attached to some of your favorite people. So when you think of that voice, you may think of a specific anchor, and you're like, oh my God, it brings me back to that time.
It does. Yeah. I think it might be exhausting though, because I don't know if I can continue that.
I don't know. I feel like I speak in my normal voice.
You do.
However, like I said, I'm just articulating and I'm making sure that I'm saying things proper. Also, you're typically speaking in more proper grammar than when you're loosely in conversation. We're not speaking by the AP style language when we're just frivolously talking.
Yeah, that's true.
But when you're like speaking on camera on the news at that, you want to make sure you're accurate.
Yeah.
Like so you're going to speak in a way of like you're conscious of what you're saying.
Okay.
Even if you're on a show, a news show where you're giving your opinion. You're still on edge a little bit because you're like, I don't want to say the wrong thing. I don't want to slip up and say something that might be completely false.
Right.
Or something that could be controversial.
Yeah. Listen, I think that would be a lot of pressure.
It is. It is a lot of pressure.
How do you handle that? Because I feel like that would stress me out a little bit. I feel like that was why when people always talk about my voice, they're like, I can listen to your voice all the time. And I was like, okay, but I also like to talk. But I don't think I ever wanted to do radio or TV because I feel like I don't want you to have to tell me like what I got to say. Like, I want to talk about what I want to talk about.
I mean, I think as a journalist, it comes with the territory because you understand that the role that you play and the job you're doing, the responsibility that you have to society.
Right.
So it doesn't really stress me out.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
I think
you also have been doing this for a little while, and you went from you were in number 2. I just love that I learned so much. You went from number 2 to number 4. So
I started like 168.
But that's the past.
I started in
Yuma, from the bottom.
Arizona.
Now we here, okay? So you were in number 2. So going from number 2 to number 4, you might be like, this is light work.
No, because I'm still relatively new.
Okay.
I've only been on camera in news, on air, I would say, since 2019.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would have never known that.
Yeah, my career just moves pretty fast, but the way I think about it is God had a plan for me because I didn't get into my career right after college, which is also another misconception that people like assume about everyone is that you just overnight became successful.
Right. Yeah.
When it took a lot of steps to get there. For me particularly, I had a late start because I graduated college in 2015 and then I didn't get a job. Like so as I mentioned, most reporters start in a small market, in the middle of nowhere, small town, somewhere where you're usually not from. I was extremely opposed to that because it was scary for me. I grew up in D.C. I've only lived in D.C., New York, and L.A. at that point.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do in like Wisconsin or Vermont. Like, I don't know, especially as a black woman.
I was about to say, and do they like black people?
Yeah,
That's always my question.
And I was also in a relationship and made not bad decisions, but decisions that held me back a little bit. Because I'm like, okay, I have this boyfriend. I don't want to move somewhere. He's not moving with me. So yeah, I just didn't necessarily pursue my career in a way that was aggressive and willing to risk anything. At that point, I did it.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I was in LA at the time. I competed in Miss California twice, and then I worked as a hostess in a restaurant in Beverly Hills for like several years.
Really?
Yes. And I just was doing that. And then one day I was like, okay, I need to get serious about my life.
Right.
And I became a assistant at ESPN. So one of the anchors on SportsCenter that I admired because my father told me about her, he was like, there's this beautiful black woman on ESPN. You need to be like her. Model yourself. He's like, pattern yourself after her. Pattern yourself after her because she's classy, she's sexy, she's smart. She has it all. Like, you need to like, I guess not follow in her footsteps, but mold yourself around like, take
she's
pieces.
A good role model.
Yeah, take pieces of what you see her doing and implement that. So lo and behold, I was at work one day at the restaurant and she walks in and I'm like, this is the woman my father told me. I was very shy, so I didn't know what to do. But I thought about my father, and I'm like, he would be like, "You are a punk, like you a sucker." So I said, "You know what? Let me go introduce myself," and that propelled into a career, into a job as her assistant and working on set at ESPN and doing that for about 2 or 3 years. I was like, "Okay, I'm ready to be serious about my career. I'm ready to be on air. I'm ready to take a hold of my career."
Yeah.
So by that point, I was about 26 years old.
Okay.
I moved to Yuma, Arizona from Los Angeles, which is Yuma is at the border of Mexico and California.
Okay.
And at that point, like I took a huge pay cut. Literally, I was in LA making like probably $80,000 a year almost, working at a restaurant and being an assistant. Like, it was good money and I was comfortable. I was living a very like easygoing lifestyle. And I was like, you know what? I really want to do this. So let me move to the middle of nowhere and make $25,000 a year.
Oh my God.
In the desert.
In the
like,
desert.
In the desert. I was one of the only black people there. But I knew that this is what I wanted to do. And I went into it thinking, okay, I'm only going to do this for about a year or so, get the skills that I need, get really good at it, focus, put my head down and just do the work. And I'm gonna get out of here. And that's literally what I did, because going into it, like I said, I was 26. Everyone I was working with there were fresh out of college, literally like 21 years old. They never had a job before. Me, I came from already having a job and having a lifestyle for myself, and having to like move, uproot myself, and still support myself. It was crazy, but I did it. It wasn't the worst thing ever. I learned a lot, and I actually enjoyed it. Okay. I'm blown away by that every time I think back. Like I really enjoyed being in Yuma, Arizona. Wow. And that's a moment in my life and in my career I would say would be one of the most monumental and shapeful moments, because I made some of my best friends there. Yes. I learned everything I know there. Like it was something that shaped me for the future.
I love that.
Yeah.
And now you're number 4.
Now I'm in Philly. I never thought I would be in Philly. Even though I grew up in DC, I don't have much of a connection to Philadelphia.
Okay.
I never visited Philly. Okay. I've only stopped here on the megabus going to New York.
Not making a pit stop.
And surprisingly, I have several friends from Philadelphia, but I just never knew anything about it. You know,
it's
I have friends
like
in LA.
It's not like a tourist place, like where people will be like, "Oh, I got to go to Philly to see the Liberty Bell." Like it's not happening.
Yeah, and I have friends who will be like, "Oh, they either went to school in Philly or in LA." I have a couple friends from Philly, and they would just tell me, "Oh, yeah, I'm from Philly," and I'm like, oh, "Okay, whatever." Like it wasn't never like, "Oh, let me learn more."
Right.
And I always kind of assumed it was similar to DC in my mind. I'm like, "Oh, it can't be that different." But it was never on. Weird. Okay. Funny thing I say that. I would say it was never on my radar. I never took it seriously on my radar, but when I was in Yuma, Arizona, I wrote a list. I was like, I'm getting out of here in 1 year. And I wrote a list of places I would go. And I was just looking at like a list of cities.
Right.
And a list of cities that I thought that I had the talent to go to, not really being like strategic or anything. I just was like, I need to get the heck out of here. And I got to make up for lost time.
Right.
So I think I put New York, LA, DC, San Francisco, Philadelphia was one of them, and I think Connecticut. And I didn't think anything of it. I just wrote some places I would consider. I didn't apply or anything.
Right.
But yeah, lo and behold, 3 years later, literally I got a job in Philadelphia. So what you write and what you speak over your life, it may come true because
it will come true.
Yeah.
Yes. And here you are. We love you.
Thank you. I love you all too.
Yes. Now, how long do people usually stay in a city? Because I know Jim Gardner was here forever, but I see different anchors. Someone's here today, and then there's another person tomorrow. So, is it a 5-year stint?
It depends. So we do work on contracts, which are usually several years.
Okay.
And then it just depends on if it's a city that you want to be in, and then you continue. You can renew your contract. Usually, especially people who are from great cities, they want to get back home. So they want to work in a city where they're from.
Right.
So that kind of is plays a role in making that decision, whether you're going to stay long-term or not, if you want to start a family in that city, if you're from there, or usually if people are trying to climb up the ladder, then they just keep moving.
Okay. Yeah. I love that. So I have to change gears because I have to get in your makeup and self-care, your skincare bag. I think this is so cool that you guys do, in Philly, you guys do your own makeup. I always would think that there would be a makeup artist on set, but I learned from another anchor that you guys typically do your own makeup.
Yes.
So talk to me about your makeup routine on air and off air.
On air, so off air, I typically, especially nowadays, I don't really wear much makeup.
Okay.
I never really. So I've always been acne prone skin. I've struggled, girl. I've come a long way to get to this point. And this might not be perfection to some people, but
first of all, I'm impressed because a lot of people who have acne skin, they don't understand that less is more for your skin.
I've always been that way.
Anything is going to be hello, bacteria, which causes the acne. So I'm impressed that you're no ma'am.
Yeah, so before I was on air, I just wore makeup to cover my acne. I was never into makeup and all that. So yeah, all I knew how to do was put on some foundation. That was
Okay.
it. And then once I got on air, like I said, in Yuma, it was hot AF. So I was always sweating. I also have oily skin.
Same.
And I didn't know anything about doing my makeup. I just would put on the foundation, put on some mascara. I didn't even wear lashes.
Okay.
I'm allergic to lash glue. I can only wear it for like a few hours. So I have on lashes today, but yeah.
Is it the like what in the lash glue?
I think it's the latex, but I think I've just grown a resistance to adhesives.
Okay.
So if I have on lashes for an extended amount of time, my eyes will start itching or the skin will start breaking. And the same was with the lace glue. I can't wear lash extensions at all.
Okay.
At all.
Yeah.
But when I started out in the business, I did not look good on camera. I'm sorry. I would not look at that footage. One, my makeup just wasn't for TV. So I learned over time that there's TV makeup and there's like your everyday look. And for TV, you do have to do a little bit more, especially when it comes to lighting. So in a small market where they don't have that much resources, the lighting wasn't good for a Black woman. And I didn't understand that. And people always tell me, oh my God, you look so much better in person. Because I looked horrible on air. And when I got to LA, I still really didn't know how to do my makeup, but I got a little bit better at it. I still didn't know how to control the oil on my skin because, like I said, I would just put on foundation and a little bit of concealer. I didn't even wear blush at that point. Until I started going in studio and anchoring more, and the makeup artists on set started doing my makeup, and they would give me tips. One makeup artist in particular, my girl Genesee, she told me, like, I was filling in as a national correspondent in DC. And I think she just saw me on air one day. So we didn't have the makeup artist because I was on assignment in DC. And she was like, girl, we need to do something about your oily skin. Your oil on my forehead and on my nose was just out of control. And also just little things like wearing lip gloss and stuff. I didn't even wear blush, like I said. So she put me together a routine. Primer, foundation, concealer, blush, MAC Raisin. I
Girl,
blush it up.
Yes, ma'am.
Blush,
that's
eyelashes.
A classic.
I do a lash, but I do a very minimal, small lash. And powder. I didn't used to wear powder on my face. So I powder my face and set it with a spray. And I think I had this idea that more makeup would irritate my acne, and it would only make me oilier. And also, I just felt like I was going to look like I'm caking it on. But it doesn't. And when you do it the right way, it doesn't look like that. And for TV, it needs to be a little bit more matte. Caked on.
It's got to be a little bit more than that soft glam that I love.
Yes. So for now in Philly, I think I've perfected my look to the way that I like it. I'm not as oily anymore.
Love it.
Okay.
I love that. First of all, I just have to let you know that you're going to be young forever because oily prone skin, no wrinkles. So that's the first
That's something
thing
to look forward to.
Yes. And, as a makeup artist and also as an esthetician, I think that us oily girls have I'm not going to say a better experience, but when you're dry, it's hard.
Really?
Yes. Dryness a lot of times brings about texture on the skin. Like almost like dry patches. And imagine putting something over like a like almost something that's like that's raised. So, and then also sometimes their skin can be tight. Like, so you ever like wash your face? Because I know gel cleansers, I don't know if you use a gel cleanser, we'll get into your skincare in a minute. But gel cleansers kind of like strip you. It's a deep cleanse. So imagine feeling like that all the time. Like dry skin is tough.
What's that stuff called? The paper that you what's that
the
paper
black
called?
paper
That you scrape the walls with?
Oh yes,
sandpaper.
That's exactly the texture that people experience with dry skin, and the tightness also is really, really hard too. So us oily girls, we can kind of like swipe it away. They have black paper, you can put powder over it, like it's easy fixes. When you're dry.
But now I have to worry about my shiny head as well. My head gets so oily. I don't know what it is.
See, I don't mind shine. I just think it has to be in the same
place. It's not just shiny, it's oily
but
right now.
That's nothing.
But
Okay.
I think also when I'm in studio underneath the lights,
lights.
something about the lights makes my
It
skin
produces
super oily.
Your sebaceous glands are like, hey,
Yeah.
what's going
Or
on?
sitting in front of a computer as well. That'll do it to me.
Any lighting, I just feel like the oil was probably already sitting on the face, but now it's just kind of magnifying it. Like, hey y'all, how y'all doing?
Yeah.
So, but like I said, I learned to kind of be okay with my oily skin because as a makeup artist and as an esthetician, you're on people's face, and the dry skin girls, it's hard for them. So,
Okay.
yes.
Well, I'll take pride in my oily skin.
Please. Now, do you have a certain brand that you love with makeup? Because I know, like, I talk to some of the news anchors, and they're like, I have to use NARS this, or I have to use blah, blah, blah.
You know, with my skin, from what I've learned from my esthetician, I need to switch up my products every like 3 to 6 months because my skin, like I think even with adhesive, I grow a resistance to things. So if I start using it too much, my skin starts to react to it. So I change up a lot.
Okay.
Right now I've been trying to use a lot of clean products.
Okay.
So I'm all over Sephora.
Okay.
I have different I use this primer called List.
Okay.
List primer.
I've heard of it.
Laura Mercier powder, the loose I don't use the translucent one, I use the brown one.
The brown one. Yes.
I use a tinted moisturizer. I actually don't wear foundation.
Okay. I love it.
I use it because I don't like too much coverage.
Yeah.
So I use Tower 28.
I know.
Yeah, so I use Tower 28 tinted moisturizer, MAC blush, and I've been loving the one size setting spray.
Girl, yes.
I've been liking that a lot lately.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
My students put me on that it has a smell because I'm used to just like holding my breath when I spray it.
I don't smell
But
it. I just don't like that it looks like hairspray.
It smells like hairspray too.
The fact that it looks like a hairspray can throws me off, and I just get like I'm very particular about my skin and what will flare up my acne. So I'm like, this feels like I'm about to mess my face up. But I've been good with it so far.
I love it. That's like my go-to setting spray. I love that.
I used to use Charlotte Tilbury.
Okay.
But I don't know. I don't know if that was working. I just was using it.
It never worked for me.
Okay.
I see it on TikTok. Everyone's like, oh, you have to use Charlotte Tilbury and the one size. Girl, it would drench my face to the point where like my makeup looked like it was dripping, and then I let it dry and I would spray the one size, and then I would be oily like within the next hour. And then I was like, okay, maybe I shouldn't do both. So I tried just the one Charlotte Tilbury, nothing.
Yeah, I stopped. I was using the Charlotte Tilbury for a very long time because it just was routine for me. I don't know if it was working or not. I was just using it. So I'm not sponsored. I'm not saying use it. I'm not saying don't use it. I stopped using it.
I'm saying don't use it. If you got oily skin, it ain't for us.
So I've been using one size, and I like it so far. I don't like the primer, though. It made me too dry.
Yeah.
Did it? It looked
The
cakey.
primer did nothing for me. Nothing.
Okay.
It didn't make me too dry. It didn't control oils. The primer that I'm loving right now for my oily skin is by Milk.
I gotta try it. I'm nervous. I have very sensitive skin though.
Okay.
But I'm gonna try it.
Yes.
I do like the MAC one, the MAC matte primer. It comes in a silver tube.
That's gonna make you dry.
And
I'm a matte girl.
dry.
Really?
But
I like to put that in certain areas. Like I use that for my brides, and I put it in the T-zone. But all over your face, it sometimes like brings about like almost like patchiness to your foundation. So just be careful with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had to stop using it though because I was using it for like a year, and then I started getting irritated by it. Yeah. And I don't get like extreme breakouts, but it'll be a little bit of like little bumps.
So the esthetician in me wants to know, how are you removing your makeup? Because a lot of times people think that products are what is breaking them out. But what we know about acne is it's caused by bacteria. So a lot of times people are not removing all of the makeup, and that's what's causing the breakout. So what are you using to remove it?
I use micellar water on a cotton pad. I use that first, go over it until it's off. And then I also like double wash.
Okay,
in
the pre-cleanse.
Yeah.
What are we using for our first cleanse? Wait. You just said something that's a red flag. You wash your face in the shower?
I do. But I don't dry it in the shower. No. I know. I know. I hear that all the time. But I just can't help it. I'm sorry.
Girl,
I'm a creature of habit. And
ma'am.
I'm one of those people that's very weird about things. Like, I don't like washing my face in the sink. I don't like water like dripping everywhere. I don't like to see
It doesn't have to drip.
mess. Like,
It
just
does not have to drip. You just
I like the feeling of being in the shower and just
and then you remove it. So you can remove it with like one of those paper towel things that they have now.
I bought those lately.
Yes.
The clean towels.
Yes, the clean
I've
towels.
been buying those.
And you don't have to have anything. The problem with the shower is that especially us women, we love scorching hot showers, and that is not good for our face. We have to watch, especially when you're oily. You don't want to activate those sebaceous glands because they'll be like, "What's up, y'all?"
Hey, we here.
Every time you wash your face now, you're going to think of me saying, hey. Okay, so double cleansing in the shower, but we're going to change. I'm going to work on you with that.
I have a very simple skincare routine.
Okay.
I watch all these people on YouTube and TikTok, and they're doing all that. I've been there.
Simple is actually better for acne
there.
skin.
Yeah, I would say I've been there, done that, trying to use every single product at Sephora. No, that doesn't work for me.
Tell me your first cleanse.
I finally, actually in Philadelphia, I thank Philadelphia for bringing me my esthetician. She's changed my skin.
I love that.
Literally changed my skin.
I might be better than her, but no, I'm just kidding.
It's like having a good barber. Like, I won't cheat on my esthetician.
Yes,
and
no,
whenever
I don't.
mess up my skin, I feel so bad. I walk in there with my head down like, I'm sorry, I picked at my face. I did. So she changed my skin. So I used to be one of those people who thought I had to, whatever burns, whatever, 8 steps. But now I literally only use a cleanser. I use a toner, but not every day because it dries my skin out too much. And it gives me more acne. Well, what I use right now, the toner I use only maybe 3 days a week. It's called Epicurin.
Okay.
I use that only at night, 3 days a week. And I use a serum, and that's it. A serum that it doubles as a moisturizer. So I use this brand, Christina Skincare. Okay. And it's very clean and light, but I was like, it works. Like it doesn't have a lot of chemicals and stuff in it either. Okay. So yeah, that's it. Just a wash and a serum most days. Okay. Or a wash, a toner, and a serum. Okay. And then once a week, I have these exfoliating pads, M61. Okay. I don't know if you know that brand.
I do.
They have these Power Glow exfoliating, and I use that. Okay. But I also get micro needling once a month, and I get a facial every 2 weeks. Okay. So 2 facials a month. One is micro needling, and one is just extractions, a regular facial.
Yes. I love this, first of all. It's the maintenance for me.
I know, right? It's a lot.
Yes, I love it. But I wonder, if it's working for you, I love it. But I always tell people to always try different things. And I have to just give you a little tip because a lot of people don't know this. So when we wash our face, you can even ask your esthetician, she probably will tell you the same thing. When we wash our face, we do take the bad stuff, but we sometimes take the good stuff too. And we throw our pH of our skin off. So a true toner is supposed to balance the pH of your skin. So I want you to go home and look at your toner and see if it advertises for that. Okay. Because us oily girls, we need that balance because, your skin can be more alkaline or more acidic. Right. And you want it to just be in that normal range. Yeah. So that's your homework. You have to figure that out. Will. And then I didn't hear moisturizer.
My serum doubles as a moisturizer. Okay. Yeah. And in the daytime, I'll do my serum and then sunscreen every day.
Perfect. I love that. Yeah. Okay. I'm not mad at it.
But the thing I'm still getting used to is my bald head. So I am not used to having to deal with just having a bald head. I don't know the maintenance for it yet. I'm still learning.
Would you just use the same thing for your face?
Yes. Okay. I really don't know. So I've started using my skincare on my head only because my boyfriend suggested it. But at first I just didn't know what to do. And, or even tanning and making sure my head was the same color brown as my face. Or in the wintertime I get lighter. But when I first came out bald, of course, my head was not the same color as my face because I was having it covered. So it was light. And then I had to get a tan and make it darker. And then just putting do I put sunscreen on my head? I've tried, but I sweat when I put sunscreen on my head.
Your sunscreen should be waterproof.
I know, but it makes it's just my head. You don't get it, girl. Once you don't have hair, I don't know if your hair holds your sweat, but once you don't have hair, your sweat, you see Michael Jordan and these bald men who sweat a lot on their head. Yeah. I never really understood it until now I understand it.
Yeah. But sweating cools you down.
I
You
know.
need to sweat.
And I don't sweat. Like, I'm not a sweater. Like, when I work out, I don't sweat that much. But my
Really?
head, girl, my head be sweating.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be dripping down my face. Never before did I experience this. So that's
It's that largest organ, that skin. It does so much. It has to cool you down. It has to protect you. I mean,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a new territory I'm exploring.
Yes.
We're figuring it out, though.
You're doing a great job. It looks, the head looks great. Your skin looks
Thank you.
good. So you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
I love it. So your homework, I just want to go over it again. Toner and the sink.
Okay. So with the toner, I'm nervous. I've tried doing toner every day.
Okay.
I used to.
Have you ever tried Aveda?
No. But I used to do toner. So before I met my esthetician, I used to do like toner, all of that stuff. And once I stopped it, I stopped producing as much acne.
Okay.
But I also have tried natural stuff, and my skin does not react well to natural things.
Really?
Because also, I think because I'm naturally allergic to things. Like, I'm allergic to cats, dogs. I'm allergic to grass. I'm allergic to stuff like that.
It's the autoimmune disorder.
Yeah, alopecia is an autoimmune disorder. So my immune system automatically reacts to things.
Yep.
So
You're
whenever
just gonna
I
be
try,
very sensitive.
yeah, when I try like natural oils and stuff, oh my goodness, like people swear by that stuff, and I would love to swear by it as well. But when it comes to the vitamin oils and the tea tree oils, anything like that would trigger me.
Yeah.
Even witch hazel.
Oh, girl, witch hazel is not for your face.
Why do people swear by that?
I don't know. It's, what I learned as an esthetician and especially as an educator is that, number one, things advertise for things that they are not supposed to be. So like my students just recently figured out, I'm an ingredient freak. First thing I do is grab something, I'm looking at the ingredients.
Too.
So now I'm like, I've created them as like ingredient minions too. They're like this and that. And we literally Ulta was having a sale, so we were looking at different products at the sale. Things were advertising themselves as vitamin C, not an ounce of vitamin C in it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So also what happens is that I can make a product. I don't have to be an esthetician. I don't have to be a dermatologist. I don't have to be anything. I can still make a product for skincare. Obviously, it has to get regulated by the FDA, but I don't necessarily have to know the basis of skincare or what the skin needs or different skin types. And it's just a lot of education. We are in this era of whatever's trendy.
Right.
My students are like the best consumers because they love packaging. First thing they say, "Oh, I like that packaging."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Girl, read the ingredients. Like, what is it? Who is it for?" And I think a lot of people just don't know. I'm glad that you have an esthetician who can guide you because a lot of people don't want to pay the money or they don't believe in estheticians.
That's what I was going to say is that you really, before I found an esthetician that I loved, I didn't believe in that. That's just like how people don't believe in makeup artists. They don't believe in trainers. They don't believe that. They think that they can learn everything off YouTube and TikTok and do it themselves.
Everything.
People are experts in their fields for a reason. And you do have to pay for their expertise. So I found better results when I consult with the experts.
Yes, absolutely. It's a thing, I think people just underestimate it, but it's so important. And especially I was just talking to my students about it today. This is your mug. You don't get another one. Skin is that largest organ over everything, your heart, everything that you're like, wait, it's bigger than this. Yeah, it protects your whole body. It protects those vital organs.
I trust my esthetician more than I trust the dermatologist because
you should.
Yes, dermatologists know the science behind skin, but they also are in a business as well. And then they try to market you medication to fix everything. And I've tried every acne medication on the market in the United States. Nothing worked for me until I met my esthetician. And literally all I do is use a very simple skincare routine and get microneedling. And that's it.
Yeah.
So if my acne, which they were saying was hormonal and all these other things and all these other factors, get the bacteria out your body. And all it was doing was making my body worse, well, making my acne worse and causing me to have side effects to the medication. Now I'm not taking anything or using anything chemical or pharmaceutical. And my skin is better than it ever was before.
Yeah. I have a client and she's a physician and she broke it down for me and she talked about how without patients or people being sick, there wouldn't be doctors. So
Right.
the reality is they want us to stay sick
Yeah.
so that we can keep coming to them, right? And that's kind of like that, like almost hurt me. I'm like, why would my doctor want me to be sick? But it's a business,
it's
and the
still
same
big
thing with the
Yeah.
pharmaceutical companies, right? Like a dermatologist is partnered with a pharmaceutical company. So they're going to prescribe those medications based on that partnership. Us as estheticians, I mean, we have product lines that we work with, but we're still able to cater a regimen to what your skin needs. And that's the difference. Like I'm not, my brand of, whatever line is in my spa is not going to make or break me as an esthetician.
A trained esthetician. Licensed.
Yes, licensed.
Yes.
Hello.
Yeah, because
Yes, ma'am. Please
I
be
think
licensed.
that's also important as well, because I'm not saying I don't trust dermatologists, or I do trust medicine and science.
Absolutely.
However, from my experience with acne, the dermatology route hasn't helped in treating it.
Right.
It may help with like understanding your skin and understanding what is acne and what type of acne you may be dealing with.
Yeah.
But
I was just about to say too, I think dermatologists definitely do what they need to do for grade 3 and 4 acne.
Right.
But grade 1 or 2, which I feel like you would probably experience, because I know what grade 3 or 4 looks like.
Yeah, for mine it was more so like superficial acne, like
Grade
little
1 or
zits or blackheads.
Yep.
It wasn't cystic
Exactly.
acne or anything
Exactly.
like
So
that. It was
that's
more so
grade 3.
reaction acne.
So grade 3 and 4, definitely a dermatologist is you're going to need those medications.
Right.
But 1 and 2 can be treated with a licensed esthetician.
Yeah,
for sure.
hyperpigmentation, evening out your skin tone, those things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I am so excited that you have like a regimen, and girl, you should see. People are like, "Oh, I use Dove." I'm like, "Dove is for your butt."
It's I know, because so many people say, "Oh my God, just use Dove soap on your face." But that's another thing. Like listening to everybody's skin is different. I actually have acne. My boyfriend, his skin is flawless. He doesn't even wash his face.
Oh, we can jump him later.
He doesn't wash his face. He doesn't do anything to be like, his skin is perfect.
It's always
he has
the
no
men.
blemishes.
He probably got
nothing.
long eyelashes.
Yes.
Girl, good night.
So it's just genetics. And I think like that's where, some things do work for some people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some people don't need a routine.
That is it too, right? I have students that say, "Oh, I never washed my face and my skin is fine." You're the exception, not the rule, right? And I also tell them, I said there's a such thing as free radicals in the environment.
Yeah.
When you're talking to people, I can guarantee that they're spitting on you.
All the pollen when
There's
you walk
pollen,
outside.
there's pollution, there's so many things. And then every time you lay your head on that pillow, you are inhaling dead skin cells. You are, your dead skin cells are shedding onto your pillow. I mean, there's just so many things. I could sit here and gross you out until the cows come home. You need to wash your face to remove those impurities, right? Because here's the thing, you could have top of the line products, right? But unless you start with a clean canvas, you're not going to get the benefits of those products.
And wash your makeup brushes.
Oh,
Nasties. I see, shade, but shade. I see so many people on social media doing get ready with me makeup tutorials. And I'm just looking at their brushes like, ew. That's the
When
Virgo. I think that's the Virgo in me. I'm like,
yes, when I problem solve with like clients, they're like, I'm breaking out. I don't know what it is. I got the toner that you told me. I started washing my face at the sink. I'm changing my pillowcases. And I'm like, well, how often are you washing your makeup brushes?
Yeah.
They're like, it's just me who's using them. I'm like, I understand, but every time you're using them, you got little dead skin cells in there. You got whatever bacteria was on your face, and now you're just reapplying that every time you use it.
Even if your face doesn't break out, just wash your makeup brushes. And also something else, your makeup expires.
Yes.
Okay.
You see that little bottle on the
your
back that
makeup
says 24
expires.
months?
So
Yes.
my trick is I buy travel size or the smallest version of everything.
Okay.
So that I will run out and
Yes.
then go
I
buy
like to
something
call them the
else.
trial size.
Yeah, the trial size. I do that. Also, just like I'm a very minimalist person, so I don't like having a lot of things. I see people who are very maximalist or even, I don't know what you would call it, feeding into capitalism, because like they want everything. They need to have 5 or 10 different foundations, 20 lip glosses. Well, it's different for you. You're a makeup artist.
I know.
But it's just like, when will you ever get through all of that? And then you're going to be using it and it's going to be 2 years, 3 years old.
You're right.
That's why I just buy one, but that's just me. I buy one small one. Like, and I use it all, and then
I feel like Aziza came for me, but it's
you're
okay.
a makeup artist, so that's different. It's your profession.
And it is. You know, I stop myself all the time. Like House Labs just came out with a foundation, and everyone's been trending about it. And I found my color too. Like I went to Sephora, I matched myself, but then I put it back because I said to myself, "Girl,
you need it?
Do you need this?" Because I have a foundation that I love. Like I think it's amazing. And I don't need to mix anything with it. Like it matches me, which I have a hard time with. So I was like,
don't
you
go
do
lusting
not need
after
this.
something
yeah,
else.
I put that right back, honey. It was also a cute coin.
Right.
So I said, yeah, no, I'll wait for that.
But see, I think everybody has their things that they like to splurge on or go all out for.
Yeah.
Makeup isn't one of them for me.
Okay.
Although I'm like maintenance, I like it when it comes to like facials or skincare. Not even skincare. I will spend a lot of money on my skincare, but I won't go excessive with it.
Okay.
But if a skincare ritual that worked for me costs like $400, I would do it.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
I don't do nails. I don't like.
Okay.
None of that.
I love that.
That stuff doesn't. But for me, I like clothes.
Okay.
And I like to eat out, and I like to shop at Whole Foods a lot. So that's like my vice.
That's your judge.
Yeah, that's my thing. When people could be like, "Girl, why do you do that?" And I would be like,
"Cause I want to."
Judge me.
You're like, it's my thing. I love it.
I
love that. And you know what? I think too, I'm learning to just to hold back a little bit, right?
Yeah.
I have makeup coming out of my ears. I get sent a lot of products too. But you know, to your point, it's just so much. And you know, you have like just one little, like a few just, you know, eating out Whole Foods. I got like 10.
Oh, okay.
So my husband be like, eyeing me like.
I mean, you got a husband though.
He's
he
like,
can help you out with it.
Seriously? Another box from Sephora?
Right.
Like another box from Ulta? And I'd be like.
But that's different because I feel like that's literally your industry versus me. Yeah. Makeup could be it. I like it with clothes. I've slowed down a lot, but I used to be the person where I needed a new outfit all the time.
Yes, that's me.
It could be, you know, you could back that up and say, well, you know, you work on television, so you always need something else to wear.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm trying to cut back.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you choose your outfits for television? Like, do they have a dress code?
No.
Oh, I love that.
Well, not necessarily. It's unspoken.
Okay.
I think
so. You can't come up there and no.
Yeah, because I'm sure if you wear something that's inappropriate, they may tell you. That's never happened to me.
Of course,
but I think you form your style over time and what you're confident in. Also, what look you're going for. I think my look on air is very consistent. I love a good suit. I love a good blazer. I like nice, you know, certain. I like dresses that are maybe like a satin or, you know, silk to it. I like anything that has a little bit of movement that'll still show my shape, but I don't want it to be too tight or hugging.
Yeah.
I like to show my legs. And I mean, I tried things like I will show shoulder.
Okay.
I don't have cleavage, so I don't show no cleavage.
Okay.
You got to work to your advantages. I think.
Yeah.
What colors work for you? What styles? You know?
Right. Yeah. I think if I was on the news, I would wear like fuchsias and like orange.
That's the thing. Yeah. Whatever you like, and it's all a part of your identity and persona. You know, people attach the way you look to what they like about you, what they remember about you. So, you know, some people, you know, I tune into Tamron Hall to see her fierce haircut, like, and her style. Like, I want to see what she's wearing. And for some people, it's like that. So I think it's okay to play up to that or play into it, if you will.
Okay, I love that. So I also want to know, what advice would you give to someone who is just like you know, aspiring to be a journalist, wanting to be a news anchor, you know, maybe hesitant about going to a smaller market? What advice would you give to them?
One, I would say know your why. Okay. Why do you want to do it? Beyond you want to be on TV, beyond you want to work in a certain city, beyond those superficial things. What's your real why? Because it's a very taxing and sacrificing industry, career. It requires a lot of you. It requires a lot of your mental health, your physical abilities, your time away from family, friends, moving to places where you don't want to live.
Yeah.
And just each day can be exhausting. So at the end of the day or throughout the day, if you know why you're doing this and why it really matters, that will carry you through. Like I said, my why was because my father told me I was going to be able to tell the stories of people like us.
Right.
And that's always been important to me to do that. So that's like my why at the end of the day. Like, I care about finding people who are relatable. I care about telling stories that people can understand and feel like they're not alone and feel like they're not the only one in the world or in the country or in your neighborhood that's dealing with something.
And I feel like that's why you're so relatable, right? I think that sometimes if you see someone and you can relate to them, it helps you whatever you're going through, it's just that much easier. Because you're like, Aziza's, she has alopecia, she's trucking it through. She's not letting it consume her. She's not being depressed about it. To your point, you said, it's a process and you're going through your journey, but every day you're choosing to conquer that day. You're not letting this condition take over your life. And I think that a lot of times people do that. And, I always try to encourage people, but I'm always like, why are you letting this define you? This is a small piece of that puzzle.
Girl, it's tough.
I know.
It is tough.
Life is tough. It is.
Do you know if I would have known that so many people would have been inspired by my story or would have told me I look beautiful or made them want to not wear a wig, I would have done this sooner. But it wasn't because, I wasn't hearing those things necessarily. It was also because of the story I was telling myself and I was so afraid. It's really scary.
Yeah.
So I understand why people are afraid to do things, but you have to muster the courage at some point.
Yes.
And that's just a part of life and being bold. And your courage will inspire someone else to be courageous. And then that will ripple into so many other people and so many other areas of the world.
You don't think it's a lot easier now because everyone's so accepting of everything?
Yes. That's another reason why I came out with my alopecia because I started seeing, like, in the last, I would say 5 years or so, I've seen so many bald women everywhere, whether they're just shaving their hair off because they want to, or Jada Pinkett Smith speaking out about her alopecia. That made me look in the mirror and say, why are you hiding? When there's so many, but as a child, I didn't see women who were bald unless they had cancer or that was it. Like, it wasn't, there were a few, like you had Eve. But,
with the blonde,
it wasn't normalized. It was
a
different society, and now I feel like you said, people are more accepting, and people are on the authenticity train, and it's cool to be authentic now, which I like. I think it is cool to be authentic. It's cool to be yourself.
Heck yeah. And I think to your point, I think we as women, we do hide behind our hair because I feel like I do it all the time. Like, if my hair is done, I'm like, oh, I'm good. Forget this mug. My hair is done. I'm good. So it is like, it's almost like your cape or, something to hide behind.
Right.
So that's why I think it's just so cool that you just decided to, like, ditch it and be like, this is me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what advice do you have to someone who is, suffering from something like alopecia or just any type of pre-existing skin condition or disorder or anything, like, and they're just struggling with it? What advice do you have for them?
Just know that that's only a part of who you are and that no one is perfect. My father once told me, I think I'd lost my eyebrows. I was still wearing wig, but my eyebrows were falling off, my eyelashes, and I really didn't feel like myself because before that point, I still had eyebrows and eyelashes. So I felt like very self-conscious. And I felt like, I felt less feminine, honestly, because I'm like, well, I have to do something. I have to put on makeup just to go out of the house. And I don't feel beautiful without that thing. And the way he said it, especially coming from a man, he's like, all women do something. He's like, all women do a little something to make themselves feel better about themselves. It doesn't necessarily have to be a wig. It could be makeup. It could be getting your nails done. It could be wearing a nice outfit. Whatever that is that makes you feel confident, you shouldn't feel bad about it because you have to do what you have to do to go out into the world and be your best self.
Absolutely.
So if putting on the eyebrows in the morning or putting on some eyelashes makes me feel like I'm, I feel confident. I feel good about myself.
Yeah.
I feel like, okay, that's one less thing I have to worry about to get through my day, then do that.
Yeah.
If you have a skin condition, if you want to wear long sleeves, wear them. If that's what make you feel your best. Or if
Yes.
you need a treatment or whatever it may be, do it.
Yeah,
Do
yeah.
what makes you feel good about yourself.
And be okay with it. I go back and I look at some of my podcast episodes and I see myself itching. I just was itching. And I'm like, oh, that's my eczema. It
Right.
is what it is. Like, I'm not on drugs. I have eczema and my skin is itchy.
Yeah.
So just own it. What can we do about it? I didn't ask to have eczema. I'm pretty sure we didn't ask to have any of our things that we're dealing with, any shortcomings or any medical conditions. But I think that it just becomes a part of who you are. And the sooner you accept it and you're like, this is me, I can't do anything about it. I'm going to do what I need to do to live with it and being okay with it.
Right. And I think that's like the next step. So first I said, yeah, it's okay to do what you feel is best to make you feel your best. But part 2 is taking that journey to accepting yourself and owning that, regardless of what you're dealing with, you still have to love yourself.
Yes.
And once you get to that point, maybe you'll be more open about being transparent about it and being vulnerable.
I love that. Oh, thank you so much for being here, Aziza.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, I just feel like you dropped so many gems.
I hope so.
You're going to continue to inspire people, and people are going to just love you as much as I do, because it's just nice to have real people and speak about real issues.
Yeah.
And I think, like you said, you're inspiring so many people, because you said it's hard. That's real, right? People are always like making like things like sunshine and butterflies, but you're like, no, it's hard. It's a process. It's a journey. I'm going through it myself, and it's okay. And I think that's just so inspiring for anyone.
Because I think we shouldn't strive for, although it's difficult, we shouldn't strive for perfection.
Yeah.
And with me, I'm still learning that, because although I'm bald now and I've accepted it, people expect me to be just like 100% confident. And I'm like, no, I'm not even though I've got over this and I may have inspired so many people, I'm still not perfect.
Right.
I'm still still struggle with different things. So,
well, you're doing good is what Ed's struggling.
thank you.
You're making it look real good.
But like you said, people are going to love you regardless.
Yep.
You know, you don't have to be perfect for someone to love you.
Absolutely. They're going to fall in love with who you are, your
Right.
aura, your vibes that I, got from you, from the initiative that we were both at. I just, like I said, you didn't even open up your mouth yet. And I just felt like just such genuality from you.
Thank you.
And I was like, I can't believe she's just like how she is on the news. I was like, she's real. So I just love that. And thank you so much for being a part of this
Thank
episode.
you for having me.
I can't wait for you to come back. We're going to talk about some things that your homework, when you come back, and see if you're still in the number 4 market, or if, anything changes.
I love talking about all this. These are things that I never get to talk about publicly, unless you're like with your friends or something.
Right.
But having these conversations are healthy and like fun.
And you know
girly.
what? Like I said, you're always inspiring somebody. They're going to be like, okay, Aziza washes her face in the shower. I know it's bad, but she do it, so I could do it too.
No, you said don't do it, so.
Yes, don't
Janae
do
said
it.
do not do it.
No, ma'am.
I've tried to stop, girl.
It also, too, I'm the self-care guru. Give yourself time in the shower to do all that we need to do, right? Like taking that steam.
That's a part of it, girl.
Yes, like do all of that and then step out of the shower and go to the sink and go to work. Because our skincare regimen, it is work. We have to do the work to make sure we can maintain our skin.
Yes.
So
It's
you gotta
maintenance.
split it
Maintenance
up.
being a bad.
Girl, tell me about it.
It is. I mean, for some people, y'all are naturally beautiful.
Right,
Y'all don't
right.
do nothing. But for some of us,
Yeah, it's a lot. Yes. Tell my listeners how they can follow you, how they can see you on the nightly news.
yes. So you can follow me on Instagram. My Instagram is Aziza Shuler. AzizaShuler.
No C.
No C in there. I anchor the weekend news on CBS Philadelphia, Channel 3 if you're in Philadelphia, or you can go on our website. Weekend evenings, Saturday and Sunday, 6 and 11 p.m. And then Monday through Wednesday, I report on our evening shows as well.
Yes. So you go out in the field too.
I do.
I love that.
Girl, I be in these streets.
Girl, be safe. Girl, when Johnny Archer came to my door during that fire, he was like, yeah, I do. I'm usually out on the street team, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, sir, be safe, okay?
You do got to be safe.
You in these streets.
You do.
In Philadelphia.
Yeah. I ask God to keep you
cover you like a blanket.
Right. Every day I do.
Yes, amen. All right. Thank you guys for tuning into this episode. I'll see you next time. Bye.